Okay, first of all, I want to thank the organizer for having invited me. My name is Armand Savioz, and I worked a long time, as you said, in the field of neuroscience and dementia, and more recently with my colleague Stephen Perrig in the field of decision-making, conversion, and religion. My talk is more precisely from neurotheology to Theoneuroscience, and this decision-making, moral choice, and argument. The message I have is only one. In the field of neuroscience of religion, the weight was up to now mainly on neuroscience, neurotheology, and the suggestion made in this speech is that we shall have to put theology, Theoneuroscience, and its concept more at the center or in the center of our approaches. Okay, first I will speak about simple definitions about neurotheology and Theoneuroscience, because it's an invented word, and afterwards I will give an example of what Theoneuroscience could be and conclude. First, about neurotheology. In fact, it's, as I understand it, the attempt to try to explain religion by using neuroscience or its methods. And I give here an example, Christensen and al. 2014. It's not a novel paper, but it's quite nice because he compared very defined group of people. He made a comparison between Roman Catholics and atheist women facing some moral dilemma, in the kind of to save many lives and while hurting only a few ones. And this was done by fMRI, and they got some difference here, I think, in green the atheist. And this is not the important idea, but this kind of neo-theological approach led them to come to different conclusions, and the main conclusion was that choices are influenced by religious dimension, in particularly by imposing a prior cognitive model, here for the Catholic people, the necessity of charitable action. Okay, it's a very good paper, but I have some criticism on such a neurotheological publication. In fact, it does not give more information about Catholics or atheists beyond what is already known. And the second idea, his personal idea, it does not really enhance neuroscientific knowledge about this region, what they are doing and how they are linked. The other approach, Theoneuroscience, is a complementary approach to neurotheology, and I would say its aim is it tends to start with theology rather than neuroscience, theological concept and history of religion to try to orient and enrich neuroscientific research. I give an example. It's one of St. John of the Cross, 1542-1591. St. John of the Cross was interested in conversion, that kind of process of decision-making and moral choice. And he saw conversion as a journey from the bottom to the top of a mountain of faith via three possible ways, two wrong ways. Here's a way of the spirit, unperfect spirit, or the way of the spirit gone astray. You see, you don't get to the top of the mountain, and then you have a right choice. It's a narrow path of the perfectionism. And all this, in fact, starts here before the decision by this, in a dark night. I will explain this. In the first stage of a decision, in the first stage of a decision, you have this dark night. It means you have a choice to do, question to solve. You have not yet the response. You may encounter difficulties to find the response. You may have a feeling of uncertainty and doubts, and these are the negative aspects of the dark night. But there is a positive aspect. It is to recognize one's limit, its own limit, and this may help to do the right choice at stage 2. It means to avoid the wrong choice. Okay, but for St. John of the Cross, you have different levels of choices, at least 3 levels. Each level depending on the question and on the solution. Okay, level 1, the sensual level, it's when you have a choice which is easy to do with a simple solution, but maybe you don't have the solution, and then you have to extend your dark night in a so-called dark night of the senses. Your mind has to detach from external senses, from primary emotions, for example, so that you can be more rational, enter in the second level, and here you can maybe find a more elaborate solution. If you don't get to the solution, you enter in a dark night of spirit. It means the mind has to detach from internal senses, your imagination, and from your current knowledge, your memories, and so that you can be more creative and find a really novel solution. You are here in a level where there are maybe no solution, and you have to use other strategies like what he calls the intelligence of heart. Okay, we see that this neuroscientific way to think leads you to one question in neuroscience. In fact, how many levels of decision are there? Are there levels of decision? Maybe 2. Here it's a response of Daniel Kahneman, the winner of Nobel Prize, in his book, Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow. Thinking fast here, it's you give a non-conscious fast response. And thinking slow is the second level where you have to give a conscious, rational solution. But for instance, for Teresa of Avila, in his own Interior Castle, his book, her book, you have at least 4 levels. Okay? Here is an attempt to give a solution would be to take this notion of the science of love of John of the Cross as a kind of hypothesis. He saw that there are different levels of love. At level 3, you have unconditional love. At level 2, you have passionate love and joy. And at level 1, you have something more simple or pleasure. Okay, and we see that this could be tested by some experiment. First of all, we could take subject and sort them according to the level of creed, such as this category of St. John of the Cross, the beginner for level 1 in the creed, the progressor level 2, and the perfect ones level 3. Okay, now we can compare with the paper of Christensen by saying with this approach, starting with the concept of John of the Cross, this may give you more information about what is already known about Catholics. You go in deeper categories. Secondly, you could carry out imagery to search if there is one region maybe with difference of intensity or different region for the different level. In comparison to Christensen and all, we could say that starting with the concept of John of the Cross may give more information about what is already known about the brain. For instance, can we relate brain networks known in neuroscience, for instance, the attentional network, to one of this level, or in another way to say, to a sensual, a rational, or a mystical brain network? Okay, come to the conclusion. We have compared Theoneuroscience with Neurotheology. Theoneuroscience seen as a complementary approach. We show that Theoneuroscience starts with precise theological concept and observation, for instance, the dark matter, to ask neuroscientific questions and propose experiments, for instance, the level of decision making. And in fact, the main idea of this speech is to say that, above all, Theoneuroscience needs and has to start with theologian or historian of religion that could lead to novel interdisciplinary collaboration and enrich the neuroscientific work. And with this, I come to the end. I thank you.